decent even more points, and of course even more prize pool as a result of the finish. Anyways, here we are. We have the blind bands happening. Wild Soul Engineer coming out here for Q Squad, and you have Parasite Tempest from TteS Esports. So now, usually we would see Keeper of the Force snap locked here.
Yeah.
Not going to be the case, so Draconis actually snap locked by Nova.
Yeah, the thing is you don't actually have to first lock it, like, because you still obviously have 2 more locks after that. If they lock it 2, it saves yourself a lock, like, and it'd be kind of, I wouldn't say silly for the Hellborn team to lock it, but it's just not something we normally see. But you know, as far as the blind bans go, pretty damn standard, except for the fact that Legion bans out Wild Soul, and they are first pick out of that lockpick pool. So that's the one thing that kind of stands out to me. But other than that, it's all pretty standard.
Yeah, nothing too radical, I guess, but we're already starting off very carry-heavy, actually. the TteS Esports, they actually respond with a Moon Queen lock themselves, and I kind of wonder if that's a logic of maybe figure out that Draconis lock, perhaps Q Squad going to go for some heavy bans on some other powerful carries, and then kind of leave the options for TteS Esports limited, so they want to go ahead and just put a Moon Queen in there to give themselves a solid option. So Pebbles going to be the follow-up lock on top of that, so Waitalaba. Moon Queen, Pebbles are going to be his choices here. Coming out. There's the Keeper and actually a Puppet Master on top of that. So Nova going a little bit different there with the Puppet Master. We'll see how Waitalaba finishes now.
Yeah, he could actually finish with like another like Initiator, something that's similar to that of Pebbles if they want. That way they can figure out their lanes before getting into the lockpick pool and then just kind of like connect the dots once they get there. So if they picked up something like or locked something like a Magmus or Meraxis or Fade here, I think those would all be great choices. We'll have to wait and see what he does, though.
Yeah, it is going to be fun to see how that happens. Now, you know, I'm actually just thinking back real quickly on the interview that we just did with Riser, and you know, it was an interesting point that he brought up, as Malakin actually is going to be the final lock here. But you know, when we brought up, are they perhaps a little bit intimidated by Q Squad because of those results yesterday? And I mean, sure, maybe a little bit, but he also brought up he doesn't feel like maybe Complexity and TDM are necessarily playing on their A+ game lately. So, is that something you would agree with? I mean,
well, I didn't watch the full game of Trademark yesterday.
True.
I didn't see, so I don't know. I can't speak for that. For Complexity, I can easily speak for that, and yeah, I agree that they have not been playing as well lately at all. And again, as Riser said, not to take anything away from QsQ. I mean, obviously, you have to bring your A game as well, even if a team like Complexity isn't playing their best because they're still a great team. But no, I would agree with him. But like I said, with Trademark, I haven't seen them play, I haven't seen them play lately, and I didn't watch the games yesterday in full, so I can't make that remark. But yeah. Anyway, the band's coming out here. The last lock is actually Malakin from Waitalaba as my match expires again.
Darn.
And Nova bans out Wretched Hag. Bombardier is actually banned out by TteS Esports. So that's kind of interesting. Jeremiah and then Diminished Shaman to follow up.
You know, we were mentioning it, but again, I'm very certain Waitalaba did his research. Just like Nova mentioned there in the interview that it's pretty known by now that he especially is a guy that he'll analyze, you know, he'll go over replays, him and their coach, quote-unquote coach even, do a lot of research. I'm sure Waitalaba did his own research as well. Whoa, what the hell is that about? Anyways, all right. So banning the Bombardier there, again, that's obviously a lot of respect coming out right there for Waitalaba. But at the same time, you know, it's you made the point against one of the better players out there in Zai. Apparently, he got dominated by this. So it definitely has to be scary. So.
Well, the thing is what suicide option can you choose to actually be effective 1v1 against Bomb? Like, it's one thing to beat a Bomb in mid when you have the uphill advantage to work with for misses and whatnot, and it's, you know, the lane goes back and forth between the towers very quickly. You have runes to spawn to give yourself a little boost if you need it, or a little bit of rune luck. But in a short lane versus long lane, you have nothing. You have none of that.
Yeah.
In fact, you're hindered because you're in your long lane, which is much more susceptible to gank, not as good at positioning behind trees and whatnot. So if you're up against like what suicide hero, typical suicide hero can actually face off against a Bomb? I'm thinking hardly none, like traditional ones anyway. Like Bubbles, absolutely not. Wretched Hag, absolutely not. Yesterday we saw Pharaoh get demolished. No way could he do it. I mean, what suicide hero could you possibly think of? I mean, unless you ran, like I said, an unconventional suicide hero, something like Silhouette. But even then, I still give the edge to Bomb in the short lane. So it's a very, very smart pickup there by Nova by picking that up. in his games yesterday. But it does get banned out, and for good reason here.
Yeah, so now, of course, with that said, though, if you are going to ban certain heroes like that Bombardier, at the same time, it will, of course, leave another hero open that, maybe we would usually see banned. In this case, it definitely has to be that Fade there, which actually Nova didn't really spend too much time thinking about. He just went ahead and picked up that Fade. So, Fade going to be the first pick coming out from QsQ. Bubbles and a Luna so far. The first 2 picks over here from TteS Esports, and obviously a strong start for them, of course, as well. So, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now back over to QsQ. It seems like, you still got your Legionnaire, your War Beast jungle options, as that typically tends to be the case as of late. So, as far as other jungle options, really not so much, of course. So, we'll see perhaps if that's something that Nova is going to be thinking here. But
well, QsQ doesn't seem like the type of team to really go double jungle. Or by double jungle, I really mean like Keeper and the Suicide, and then another jungler on top of that. I think it's very, very strong. It can easily be done here. Like if you picked up perhaps that Legionnaire and then Keeper the Forest in that Suicide lane. Then right here you pick up a support hero. And, well, they do that, but they pick up the Suicide as well. But it's not going to be Keeper the Forest in the Suicide lane.
Yeah.
Although we have seen QsQ do some, like, tri-lane Pharaoh action. But the thing is, there's no more, like, real support in that pool except for perhaps a Puppet if you wanted to run him as a support. But yeah, it's going to be Glacius Pharaoh here for QsQ.
Yeah. Real quick, just to clarify, this is actually Game 1 here. I know it does actually say Game 2 on the screen, but it is just Game 1, number 1. We didn't go in time in the future and skip the first game. So it is a 0-0 so far, of course, game number 1. So just to clarify on that, but back to this now. So you see the final pick going to be coming out here for TteS Esports, and actually they're going to go a War Beast pick up here. And obviously, again, they can safely assume that Keeper of the Forest is going to be picked up by QsQ, and so they just want to get that jungle option themselves in the War Beast. And White Talaba definitely plays a great War Beast. So there you go, the Keeper of the Forest snap picked out of the lock pool. Now back to TteS Esports. Do you have any possibilities here, you think?
Well, I think it's really smart first that they picked up a jungle in War Beast, because with the Pharaoh pickup, it's pretty obvious that Keeper of the Forest, who would get picked up first at that lockpick phase, would be running as a jungler. And it's a passive jungler at that. So what can you do against a passive jungler? Run another passive jungler that you think is better. And if you know it's going to be passive. And they actually go Draconis and Pebbles. I thought for sure they'd go Moon Queen, but they want Draconis now as a much stronger laner in the short lane than Moon Queen. Like, there's no question that Draconis can fare better than Moon Queen in that short lane. And their Pebbles their lanes are set up perfectly. Like Pebbles and Luna mid, Bubbles Suicide, Draconis solo short, War Beast in the jungle against another passive jungler in Keeper of the Forest. So TteS Esports has a fantastic, very, very good lineup right now.
Yeah, QsQ is definitely making out. And I am kind of curious what QsQ ultimately may do here now, though. Figuring maybe you got a Draconis, you got a War Beast over here, you have a Pebbles even. They've got overall a lot of carry potential. So sure, you could go something like a Moon Queen here, play more of a passive sit back and farm and carry. But at the same time, I would be eyeing that Puppet Master or even the Malakin, who maybe can have some more earlier game presence. I mean, is that something to think about? Or
I honestly don't think that Malakin has that much early game presence. I mean, his sword throw is nice, but I don't know. He seems clunky and slow. I thought for sure it would be the Moon Queen pickup. The thing about this though is I feel like you're gonna have to solo Fade mid. Like you're gonna want to dual lane mid Glacius and Fade against the Pebbles of Luna, but one thing I think Pebbles of Luna would destroy them. I think it is a much stronger lane. 2, I don't think you want to risk Moon Queen having any kind of hard time against Bubbles in the Suicide lane. Like, Moon Queen can do fine and should do fine. Oh, excuse me. Should do fine against Bubbles in that short lane.
Yeah.
But you don't want to risk it. Like, Bubbles can, and it's being played by Reiser. I was just talking with him and asking that question, as he does such a good job in that Suicide lane. I think you want to give, all the support you can to Moon Queen, at least early on in that lane, and then maybe look to roam around the 2-minute rune or something like that. But I think Moon Queen needs to be your priority here.
All right, well, we'll see. I mean, Nova so far, of course, they are heading towards the top lane here as, typical. Going to get down the Ward of Sight as soon as possible and then eventually make their adjustments. But we'll see if perhaps Nova's thinking a similar case, or if instead they go with what you may think to be the more conventional, the Fade Glacius mid and then the solo bottom short Moon Queen. So, but yeah, if they do happen to go 2v2 mid, it definitely sounded like you prefer the Aluna Pebbles matchup over the Glacius Fade. So we'll see again. Mali, of course, expect him to be in the jungle though, and then Pharaoh in the Suicide option. Those are pretty much the certainties here. going to be coming up for QsQ. And especially Jonas, a fan, remember the series he had against Complexity, the one that we casted. He had a fantastic series, so looking forward to seeing what he does on Pharaoh this time around. But
yeah, I mean, he played a really, really good Bubbles that first game. Just absolutely fantastic. He's actually gotten pulled a little bit of regen now to go up against this Draconis solo, and that's going to help him out just a little bit, and that's good for them. Yeah, in the meantime, I am very curious as to whether they actually want to man up in mid or just give Moon Queen a little bit of space in bottom.
Yeah.
And I really think it needs to be giving the Moon Queen space. For one, like I mentioned the reasons before, but still, to go on about that, like, one, I don't think that Glacius Fade's going to beat Pebbles and Luna. Two, I think that Fade could actually benefit from the solo experience. Even though she wouldn't be getting any farm solo against that lane, like that's a pretty brutal lane to go against a solo, but I still think in the mid lane, if there is a lane to get any free experience, especially as a melee hero, it is mid.
Yeah.
And we'll have to wait and see how they lane this, but...
Actually,
Pebbles is top, so they're going to go dual range mid and have Pebbles top against Pharaoh. Interesting.
Very interesting. I mean, I saw him coming up here. I thought maybe to harass the trees or something, but no, he is going to go to the top lane, and sure enough, it is going to be a Draconis Aluna mid. I mean, so I'm sure you're thinking about this yourself, but is there any logic off the top of your head that you can make for this? Or
yeah, well, they want dual range against this lane. They don't feel comfortable, I guess, with the Pebbles Aluna, but I really feel like there's no reason to not feel comfortable. Like, I think it's fantastic. They want the dual range against it, so they're going to have that. And the thing is, Pebbles against Pharaoh, Pebbles should also still be very fine. Like, he should still have a very easy time. I've actually played this matchup, and Pebbles just has such high base damage with a hatchet that it's impossible to miss CS, basically.
Well, on top of that, that also kind of screws up Jonas fan. Not only was he pulled extra regen, it might not even be necessary here, but also the Iron Buckler, is practically useless here in this matchup. So,
yeah,
it's it is kind of screwing up the Legion team in QsQ in a sense. From even more perspective. So
now, I've thought about that before. Like, I'll tell you, my huge thing a long time ago was if I'm a melee soloing against another melee hero, I never want to get shield. And I stood by that for so long. I never bought shield. I never did it. And then I came to think, well, you can actually still man up on them because the shield is not only mitigating damage from the hero, but from auto attacks from the creeps as well.
True.
And when you're manning up on them, it's very easy to think that you can't get a lot of attacks from the creeps, but they can't. Like, they hurt you. So having that shield to mitigate damage from the creeps actually helps you man up on melee heroes more. So I still think that the shield is going to do him just fine.
Okay. So yeah, maybe not useless by any means, but not. Well, anyways, okay, so yeah, that is actually a good point. But anyways, Bubbles at the bottom lane taking a lot of pressure right there. Moon Queen playing very aggressive. Again, it is a 1-versus-1 matchup. Nox versus Riser here. We just got finished talking about interviewing him even, and how great of a Bubbles player Riser is in the suicide role in general. But Nox seems to be doing just fine. 11-2 against a 6-3 Bubbles right now. Obviously, the lane is pushed up in Bubbles' favor here, and make it even a level 4 perhaps, or not necessarily level 4, but also a couple more creep kills as a result of that. But it seems like Nox is definitely faring his own when it's all said and done at the bottom lane. So, of course, that is good news coming up for QsQ. The Glacius Fade matchup. So, obviously, they wanted to match up double range or dual range even against this, as we talked about Draconis Aluna here. Do you still see a chance for QsQ to perhaps get a kill, or should this not really happen as far as kill potential?
They could if Aluna gets out of position. It's not going to be on Draconis. I wouldn't imagine that, but if Aluna gets out of position, right? Oh, the Burning Shadow Sun actually totally whiffs right there. Styles is trying to get something done, but he can't find a mark. But yeah, no, I mean, they could still get a kill. It's just highly unlikely because they are both range, and it's the only person that can really do any harassing is Glacius. Whereas actually there is the Burning Shadow Sun from Fade yet again. Actually, they might be able to land a kill onto Aluna. Hold that thought as they do. So to answer your question, Breaky, yes. And Leon Black is taken out right there. That is not good for TT Sports.
Ooh, top lane. Pebbles actually turns around on
nice.
the Pharaoh. You look at the life pool of Pebbles. You got to wonder what Pharaoh was actually thinking right there.
Yeah.
Again, I obviously just caught the really end of that as soon as he died, but Pebbles seems like he was more than fine. I mean, even in tower range there was Pharaoh. So I'm not really too sure what Jonas fan was doing. Again, we didn't watch it, so I can't really compliment too much. Or
maybe he got tossed into the tower. I don't know.
Yeah, that is possible, I guess. Maybe he did kind of do something crafty like that, but anyways, obviously not the best start there for Jonas fan, especially as a result of that. So middle matchup, though, I mean, obviously getting that kill onto Aluna, big news, and Fade has actually got the assist for it. Glacius got the kill, but that perhaps could get some early boots here for Nova. We'll see. He does have nearly 600 gold saved up, so
Yeah,
you do know Nova, but
I will say, though, that the kill at top, Pebbles getting a solo kill on a Pharaoh, is a
Yeah.
much bigger deal than the kill that happened mid. Like, that kill, yeah, it sucks. It was Bloodlust, and it gives you some extra gold, but that kill for Pebbles especially, he has solo experience from it. He already has solo experience being in a 1v1 matchup. And that kill is really the one that's going to impact this TD Sports team more.
yeah, again, it goes back to simply the logic. As you see right there, he's actually going to use Mummy Walls, right? I guess not randomly.
He tried to like hit Pebbles with them.
Yeah.
To
Mana burn, if anything, yeah. But even missing Pebbles, so not the most effective use right there. But anyways, Glacius Invis here in the middle lane. He actually currently has the bottle. That was, of course, was picked up by Fade, but bottled up the Invis, is going to try to maybe set something up here now. You see Aluna and Draconis both playing pretty passive. They're going to go for Draconis, actually. He does have a Guardian ring, so some decent armor. Pharaoh even says it at 12 minutes old. Burning Shadows will connect. Is it going to be enough damage? No, it's not. The Cole was not able to be in range. Aluna power throw even encounter. But in the end, both sides will stay alive, but Draconis will need to play very careful here. Okay, he's going to be given a health pot. Meanwhile, back at the top lane, Warbeast comes in for some assistance, and Whitalaba on Warbeast actually picks up the kill on a Pharaoh. Obviously, Pebbles doing some work too, I'm sure, and that'll help Pebbles even more. And by the way, Warbeast has been doing his thing, it looks like, and now is also going to be assisting a little bit of a tower pressure here. So, excellent start for TteS Sports, especially when you look at the top lane.
Yeah, it's always great. Like I mentioned, right when you hit level 6 for Warbeast, you want to roam, and just constantly use the ultimate to gank and whatnot. But he is doing that before that and hitting level 5 and getting some things done. So that's going to really boost his farm here on Whitalaba playing this Warbeast. Not to mention this very early tower push. So great job and good gank from him.
I mean, Farrell's running up, but this tower is going to fall. Can he maybe deny it? He's trying to be a little bit close. No, help team will get credit for the kill. And actually, yeah, he is in a little bit of trouble. If he didn't get those walls up as soon as possible, then he could have possibly been comboed down even. So,
yeah.
He does have a Mystic Vestments, granted, so maybe he would have been fine. But anyways, he stays alive. You do see Pebbles kind of toying with him a little bit. But Pebbles, man, what is he at now? 430 gold per minute. He already has Steam Boots and Bottle even, despite being in the side lane. And he has another 700 gold already saved up. So, safe to say that, who is playing that Pebbles? Of course, Moravius on the Pebbles
He
here.
plays a really good Pebbles.
Yeah. Doing fantastic.
He really does. It fits his aggressive style.
Riser in the middle lane. In the meantime, Kelpo going to come out, locking down Glacius, and he will fall. You do see Burning Shadows from Fade, but just a little bit too late right there, and Glacius still goes down, so Nova gets killed. You do see Riser right there making a mention of apparently a first AoE spell bug. You've talked about that before, Trout.
Yep.
Unfortunate lag spike as a result, but they get a kill. I mean, maybe they could have followed up on Fade, perhaps, but...
Yeah, well, I think you probably tried to, get the ultimate on Fade as well, but I know exactly what it is, man. It totally freezes up your screen for a good 2 seconds, depending on how big the AoE is. Like for instance, Dark Lady, the first time you cast that, because the ultimate's like what? It's just giant. My computer freezes up for like a good 3 seconds.
The Legion takes down a Hellborn tower.
Bottom tower going down in favor of Q Squad right here. So, and actually the top lane again, Pebbles applying some pressure to Pharaoh. Pharaoh this time though, he will live. And I think that goes back to especially the Mystic Vestments I mentioned earlier that he picked up. So he's able to survive that combo right there. But big bottom tower kill in the meantime. Nox, he's been quietly doing his thing down here. And of course, Keeper of the Forest assisting as usual. Gets the Ring of Sorcery, gets level 6, and starts pushing that tower. Does it successfully, and may even go for a secondary now. You see both Bubbles and Aluna are here kind of spamming out the wave a little bit. But Bubbles is very low on life, so he will need to start falling back and get some regen. And they're going to be able to apply a good amount of damage on this tower, if not kill it. If TteS Sports doesn't respond here quickly, yeah, they are going to fall back, actually. So, good pressure, though, coming out from Q Squad, and Nox is now 341 gold per minute himself. So, yeah, Moon Queen definitely is having a fantastic start here, and there goes Steam Boots actually finished with him, already having a Helm of the Victim on top of that.
Yeah, so pretty good start for him, but like I say all the time, the hero on the TteS Sports side that needs the farm has the farm, and that's Pebbles. Now, Draconis, of course, his farm isn't like the greatest, but he did okay mid. He's 20-6 against... Actually, Fade really out-CS'd him, it looks like. He's 37-16, so... Enso is struggling, apparently, now in that mid lane. Now transition now to bottom to try to get some farm here, but it's okay. Like, he can bounce back. They really need the initiator of Pebbles to be the one, to be the aggressor and be the one moving around and get some ganks with, hopefully, an early portal key.
Yeah.
Has bought a lot of build-up items, actually. Completed power supply and a Mystic Vestment, so not going to have the earliest of portal keys.
Haven't been talking too much about style here on this fade, but actually look at that. Why did I say that? He goes a little bit of pressure on a War Beast here. War Beast does have an Abyssal Skull already finished, though, so it takes a good amount of the damage there, and not really that worried about a kill. But Fade actually just finished her Ghost Marchers, so Ghost Marchers for style here on top of a bottle. He is farming just around basically 300 gold per minute right now, so it seems like he is having a great start here. But back to the bottom lane, you got Keeper Moon Queen, and now joined by Glacius even, who actually Nova has the Striders here earlier on. Going to place a ward aside very aggressively, get some good vision here, and very possible they're going to get this tower kill unless TteS Esports and maybe do some mass ports here with some vulnerability. And I don't think that is going to happen, though, and this tower will fall in favor of QsQ. So all of a sudden now an 1,800 gold lead as we are approaching this 10-minute mark. But Moon Queen especially, Moon Queen, Keeper, and Fade are all having a very good time. I mean, sure, Pebbles is still ultimately on top, but those three are having a good time here for QsQ, and actually making their way to the middle lane now, it looks like.
Yeah, it's just simply all these tower pushes that they have so far. They have, what, 3 to... No, they actually only have those 2 in that one lane. So 2 to 1 tower pushes, so gives you some good extra gold across the board. But yeah, Keeper the Forest in the jungle, he's been farming fantastically. His CS is about 50. War Beast, he's moved a little bit around. He pushed top, ganked top, and then moved mid. His CS is about 52. He's actually had a very, very good game on War Beast as well, so things are actually pretty even here.
You see a War Beast, speaking of him, he's actually going to try to tank the Ancients, triple stack Ancients here for Draconis. He's going to do his best to clean them up. Granted, Draconis is only level 6, so as powerful as Draconis can be at cleaning out Ancients, at level 6, he's not necessarily the most effective still, so he will have to fall back and go to the lane, maybe get a couple more levels before finishing those off. But the middle tower going down again in favor of QsQ, and just keeps on increasing that lead. And actually, Nox, so we've seen this before. I want to say Slicks definitely has done this, where he goes to the Helm of the Victim, doesn't actually finish the Whispering Helm, just using it kind of for the region and the armor right now, and then actually just picked up a Quick Blade. So possibly going to be going to that Firebrand now. So simply using the Helm of the Victim for the region and armor now, and then eventually going to level up to a Whispering Helm unit, we think still. But
I don't like that.
No?
No, I think Whispering Helm is one of the best completed items that you can get, as it gives you such a big boost from 2 very basic items into 1 better combined item.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand that at all. Like, you can really benefit from the Whispering Helm. Gives you extra, like a lot of extra damage. I think it's like 20 extra damage just for making that combination.
Where would it be more? It is, yeah, 20 extra damage, 5 armor, 50%.
And not to mention the dominate effect from creeps to help yourself stack. So, I mean, it's reason enough that we've seen in certain games Legionnaire pick it up himself, like first item.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it's
is true.
Not really appropriate on that hero, in my opinion, but on Moon Queen, it's more than appropriate early on. So, yeah, I find that kind of interesting. I guess the only reasoning I could see is that because you aren't hitting that hard, that the lifesteal isn't really helping you that much.
Yeah.
So you want a little bit more damage and movement speed, I guess, and attack speed before you get the lifesteal. I don't know, but I still think it's kind of interesting.
Kind of odd, but no, what's not odd is that Keeper of the Forest does go for well, not a first item portal key, but he gets the portal key very early on, is the good way to put it. I mean, just really around 12 minutes he gets in. They're going to push this top lane. Now, Pebbles was here, but he already ported out. He's like, I'm not going to stay around for this for good reason. Tower will fall again for QsQ. That is, what, 5 tower kills? Holy crap. Those added up very quickly.
Yeah.
Already 5 tower kills, 12.5 minutes in here in favor of QsQ. And of course it's showing a 4,000 gold lead now, and actually Keeper of the Forest has actually taken over as the top farm of the game, slightly ahead of Pebbles even. So Pebbles is getting closer and closer to the portal key, but you mentioned earlier, I mean, he even went for some of the Mystic Vestments and whatnot, so he kind of delaying him a little bit. But yeah, Nox is in a lot of trouble here. Stalagmites are going to miss. A good juke in the meantime. The the Song of the Sea going to be used. Oh, there's that Shuck, and down goes Moon Queen. So she is fairly fast, but it's just too much right there. To be able to juke and jive against it all. So she will eventually fall, and actually, while she's dead, she buys a Hungry Spirit. So Whispering Helm will be finished here, I guess.
Wasn't exactly one of the prettier ganks I've seen, but
yeah,
still got the job done. And in the meantime, they got the tower as well after that.
And the portal key on Pebbles.
And the portal key on Pebbles, so that's done. Shouldn't be missed anymore. No, it was pretty difficult. I mean, Moon Queen is very, very fast. That's one of the highest base movement speeds in the game, so when you're coming at the direction that he was, it's very easy to juke a stun like that. So, meantime, though, he's going to use that portal key into shape. No, he actually misses the stun, though, onto Fade as he blinks in. So, just talking about that, but Fade's in a little bit of trouble. Obviously, has the ultimate to use, but missing that stun, unfortunately.
Weren't you just saying something about
he
shouldn't miss that stun?
I jinxed it.
You do that a lot, Trev. Come on now. Top tower. Wow, look at what Keeper the Force is doing, actually. He's back to the top tower, basically. He's going to portal key out before the pressure comes, though. Now, it is just out of deny range, so I think it's safe to say Mally did a pretty good job of doing the math there and making sure not to put it in deny range. And actually, they're going to spread out now. So he more than likely is just going to go right back in here eventually. They do have a ward of sight giving him some decent vision actually nearby. And yeah, he's going to go back in and most likely ninja this tower here. He's going to spawn the trees probably. There we go. He does still have enough mana for a portal key. And he's going to finish off the tower. Do they have a vulnerability? Okay, they do. It's going to make it close. We'll see. The minions are still going to stay there. Yes. The deny coming out from Enzo at the last second, actually.
Nice.
Very good timing from Enzo playing that Draconis. But let's look at the big picture. That's still all outer towers now have been destroyed for Q Squad.
Yeah. Wow, that is interesting. Lots of extra money, but really, like if you look at the gold lead, it hasn't exactly gone crazy. And I think it's because they've invested, a decent amount of time in trying to get these towers down. So as a result, they actually are losing out on experience. And the gold lead's only 2,500. It's not crazy, but I think the main thing is that Pebbles has had a great game. Warbeast has had a fantastic game so far with that early gank. If you can get some kind of early gank from Warbeast in the game, like it really does skyrocket his farm. Because if there's any time that he kind of struggles, it's before that level 6, level 7 route, and he's ganking at level 5, so it's great for him.
And he's level 10 right now, up there with Pebbles, his teammate, of course, and Moonqueen, I guess, here on the Legion side. So, yeah, the experiences you mentioned, and as we usually see in cases like this, 3,600 lead now in favor of TT Esports as a whole. Pebbles, in the meantime, in the middle lane is actually going to be frozen right here. Glacius going a little bit ballsy there, but in the end, Pebbles will fall back, and not really that much harm done. Style actually picking up a tablet of command as his first item on Fade, really, to follow up his Ghost Marchers. So, you like the tablet pickup here on Fade?
I don't know. I would just prefer the portal key, to be honest. Like, I think it would give you some more jump potential, especially with Pharaoh on your team. And, I mean, tablet's good and all. It's a great overall item, but I just... It's the European thing. They love to go for tablets over portal keys.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it works great in the midst of team fights, but as far as, just jumping and getting that quick initiation and picking someone off and backing off, I think that portal key is just a little bit stronger, but we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, poor Leon Black.
Yeah, he's initiated onto Leon Black, finds him. Here comes Bubbles, though. He has a Kelfield actually up and ready to go, and there is no TP. Oh, the push book used! And the Kelfield was missed as a result, so...
So you were saying, Trouf?
Well, he would have been able to blink, I'm pretty sure.
No, he was being attacked.
No, he initiated onto Luna and then would have been able to blink out right after.
No, obviously I'm messing with you, I mean. But no, that was still a very, very good dodge on his part, and I think more so of a case of Rise. He maybe should have expected that. So
he should have used it much earlier.
Yeah, he kind of blindly threw it out there.
If he was scouting, I think maybe he just wasn't scouting out his items because I think he was thinking he had a Homecoming Stone, and he didn't want to use it too early because obviously if you just use it and use the TP out, like you're fine. But he didn't have a Homecoming Stone on him, so he could have just used it right away.
But Bubbles, in the meantime, despite a failed counter gank there, he actually does pick up a portal key. So him and Pebbles now have the portal key. And how's Draconis been doing, by the way? Enzo's been quietly doing his thing. He's still continuing not to be the greatest. I mean, he's 250 gold per minute now. He's actually cleaning up what appeared to be double stack Ancients. It's actually Pharaoh will throw in a nuke, and Fade is going to come steal the Ancients as well. So even struggling more is Enzo now as a result of that. So that's obviously good news for Q Squad that they are keeping him somewhat contained here in this game right now. In the meantime, Moonqueen, of course, having a great time. Luna's in a little bit of trouble. Now, they do have a Revelation down. Fade in the background with the Invis activated. We'll need to be careful here, though. Is Fade going to go in range? I think they might have spotted him for a split second there. There's a Dust going to be used. That power throw to clear the trees. The Style realizes he's in a lot of trouble right now. Trying to get away. Kelfield going to be his ultimate for Warbeast. And Leon Black will actually get credit for the kill. Stalagmite attempt from Pebbles. He was going for Keeper of the Forest right there, but actually just not able to connect, so in the end going to be fine. But a good gank on a Fade as, again, you just got to be careful about that. Just didn't realize there was a Revelation down. Sure enough, got caught.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be careful about that. And they really need to put that Bound Eye on Fade. Calixius, by the way, bought a Bound Eye about 4 minutes ago. Nova seems to do this. He always purchases Bound Eyes. Actually, Gear the Force blinks up to the top rune, which was an Invis that spawned right there. And he's going to take that away from Pebbles, who has an empty bottle, so good for him. But he always buys a very early Bound Eye, Nova, that is. And especially it's great on Fade, and I think they need to transfer that to Fade, especially when he hits for level 11, and he has that extra clear vision and the longer duration of the ultimate. So it's a very, very good tool. They can use that to counter ward basically everything.
This just hit me too. I mean, again, especially with a War Beast who's getting levels here. It didn't start out leveling up the Battle Cry by any means. That's not. Yeah, that's obviously kind of usual. But now that he is getting the levels, he's level 12. He has level 2 of that Battle Cry. You're going to start seeing those hands glow more and more on everyone here on the Hellborn side, specifically this Draconis. Hell, even Pebbles, I mean, could really take advantage of that. And again, that's just something else to keep in mind here for this Hellborn team. But speaking of White Talibah, he might be in a little bit of trouble here. It's just a Glacius Fade, but no, hold that thought. Actually, Keeper of the Force is also here. He is going to root him. In comes Pharaoh as well. The Mummy Walls are going to go up, and Warbeast, despite being an ulti form, obviously that's what's good about Pharaoh against Warbeast. Can be very deadly for that reason. So great job catching him with the root for that matter as well from Keeper. And they get the kill. Fadis actually uses the ultimate after to try to maybe set up a kill on a Bubbles, but Bubbles just a little bit too far away. So
yeah, I think the thing that's hurting TD Esports the most right now is Pebbles has his portal key, but hasn't really been able to find that many openings. And then as a result, Moon Queen is just farming ridiculously, top farming the game by far. And at the same time, Draconis, nothing. Like, he has very, very little farm. Only 260, not even 260 gold per minute, and it's only level 9 compared to level 13 of Moon Queen. So Draconis Enzo not having a good game here early on, and I mean it still can be recovered, but we've seen at the pace that Moon Queen's farm, and it's pretty crazy with the items that she already has. It's just going to get worse. I mean, so you're going to really need to start getting some ganks here from this Bubbles and this Pubbles combination.
The Pubbles. Yeah, it's one thing to be low on gold per minute, but usually you may, in this case, you may expect, well, okay, he's been getting ganked and whatnot. He hasn't been killed yet. He only has 75 creep kills, and you compare that to Moon Queen with 142. Yeah, basically being doubled there in that case. It's obviously something just isn't really working here for Enzo. Again, you remember the laning phase. I mean, it was a 2v2 mid. They decided to make that adjustment, and it ended up being dual range versus the Fade Glacius. I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, though, he just really hasn't been able to find the effective farm here. Perhaps all those tower pushes have ultimately hurt him the most because of the map control, where he really hasn't been able to feel safe as far as doing the Ancients even, or doing the jungle. Now, Moon Queen will be ganked at the bottom lane, so that Pubbles combination, sure enough, coming into play, as you just mentioned. And they do take out Nox, so right on cue. Well played by TteS Esports right there, and they are going to continue to need to do that now. So that's definitely a step in the right direction, though. And just buy as much time as possible for Enzo on this Draconis to get that farm in. Well, even Warbeast, who is actually getting very close to finishing a Shrunken Head himself here. Yeah. As he does have the Warhammer and the Mighty Blade. Obviously, just needs the 1,300 gold now for the pattern. So good gank at the bottom lane on the Nox. He'll be another 25 seconds, actually, before he's going to resurrect right here. But I believe he actually just purchased his Geometer Span, by the way, before he died. So
yeah, that was still a very necessary gank. I actually think that I don't think Bubbles even got credit for an assist, even though he used the ultimate. I think it might have come out actually after he died, because Leon Black, I believe, sniped him out.
Yeah, you're right.
So, kind of interesting right there. But they did get that kill on Moon Queen. She's still 4 levels higher than Draconis, though. Like, Draconis really needs to find farms somewhere, and more importantly, levels. Like, they need to be triple stacking the Ancients every single time they get the chance for him specifically. And I know it's a little bit more difficult when you also have a jungler. Here comes the initiation, completely off the mark from Moravis. Obviously, he might have been a lot further away or something, but
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah, because that was nowhere close.
I mean, why even jump in, though, if you know you're not in range like that? So, kind of crazy. The Ancients are triple stacked, though, for Legion, and they're right on par with that. Like, Moon Queen is just going to skyrocket and farm after farming that. But, it's really only her and, like, Keeper at this moment. I guess Fade actually has some pretty decent farm as well. It's picking up a Blessed Orb, so going a very interesting route here on Fade.
The more I'm thinking about it, too, I mean, kind of swiftly mentioned this earlier, but Warbeast actually has a lot of counters here on the Legion side to him, in the sense that, I mean, for one, you have a Glacius Freeze, which, sure, once he gets the Shrunken Head, I guess won't be the biggest deal, but you still have a Root, which would obviously still affect that, and then, especially the Pharaoh Mummy Walls. I mean, if Pharaoh gets the Mummy Walls surrounding Warbeast, Shrunken Head doesn't do anything for you in that case, so they do have several ways to lock him down and at least hinder his performances here in these team fights, despite being in that ulti form and even a Shrunken Head, like I mentioned. So that's something that QsQ has to look forward to, of course, when it comes to progressing in this game. But that Shrunken Head, speaking of that, it will be finished here very, very shortly. Now, Pharaoh actually catching a Luna in the meantime. Barbed Armor going to be activated. Luna trying to get away. Bubbles will assist. In comes the cover. But now Bubbles has the trouble. Also, Pebbles jumped in. Actually, Root is going to connect, though. Down goes Bubbles in the meantime. Power Throw comes in the counter. But but actually Pebbles is now realizing he's in a little bit of trouble. In the meantime, in the back row, Warbies did finish off Glacius, actually. Mummy Walls go up, though, pushing him back. Pebbles using those bottle chargers, trying to stay alive. Burning Shadows will connect. Meanwhile, Nox actually takes out Enzo at the top lane while this is all going on, and Pebbles will fall, and Style finishes with a double tap. So Moon Queen getting the kill in Draconis solo at the top lane. Didn't even use Moon Finale, apparently. What? He just simply killed him. Obviously, you're watching the other action, but wow, Draconis dies to him.
I don't know how that happens. Like, you have your Blazing Flight spell, and the only way that she could do that is just, you know, consistently attack you and use that Moonbeam, and attack you and use that Moonbeam, but she's not that fast to catch up. I don't know how that happened at all. He must have already been low or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That is not good. Now Moon Queen's another 5 levels ahead of Draconis. Could be 6 here because she just got a solo kill and could be level 17 very soon. So TD Sports not in a good position right now. And it would be fine. Like, Pebbles is kind of where he needs to be. He hasn't got all the ganks he wants to. Warbeast has good farm now with the Shrunken Head, but Draconis has nothing. He has absolutely nothing. He did pick up his Shrunken Head, so he has something, but it really needs to be more.
It is more than nothing, but it's definitely not there just yet. So at least he's in the step in the right direction, of course, as does Warbeast for that matter. Again, he just finished his Shrunken Head as well. So good news there. But yeah, TT Esports, that despite the Pebbles and the Bubbles both getting the fairly early on portal keys, again, their impact hasn't necessarily been the best. And I think a big part of that does honestly go back to these early tower kills here by the Legion team. It just the map control was dominated from early on by this Legion side, and that really is hurting the TT Esports as far as their vision goes, as far as where they can port into and whatnot. So you know, that's again, I'm sure that is playing a role. Wow, Dancing Blade just purchased by Moon Queen right there. Talk about farm. She's not even going the Shrunken Head. I mean, she doesn't even feel it's necessary this game, apparently. Just perhaps going to go straight into Wingbow here.
Yeah, that's pretty greedy, to be honest. Yeah. Like, you're going to need that Shrunken Head. I could see her, yeah, she does a lot of damage, but I could see her just getting picked every single time at the start of the fight. Actually, here comes the opening onto Bubbles. As here comes a counter initiation from Pebbles. It might have been just perfect enough to save him. No, actually, Riser almost kills himself because of the barbed armor. Yeah. But Moravis does take out Style, and they're going to take out Jonas Fan as a result after that. So a decent trade, of course. But yeah. A lot of damage there coming out onto Riser.
It just happened to be horrid timing by Pharaoh, honestly. As soon as he Wrath of the Pharaoh in, the Stalagmites came out from Pebbles with his jump. So he got stunned immediately, and he wasn't able to get the Mummy Walls up. He wasn't able to barbed armor right off the bat. Yeah, that just kind of sucked. And that allowed Bubbles actually to get off a Song of the Sea, I believe, before he even eventually died right there. So at least a good hold and good turnaround, as you said. Not the worst exchange by any means. A 2-for-1, so they'll take it. Top lane, though, this isn't going to be good. Draconis in a lot of trouble. Roots are going to be coming out here. Moon Queen is also here. There's a Moonbeam. No root actually being used just yet.
They're trying to wait for the Shrunken Head to be
okay,
wasted.
Duh. Yeah.
They don't want to waste the ult.
That makes sense.
He can just run away like that. So the thing is, though, I would still use it and just have him take off his 10-second Shrunken.
True.
Like, you're probably not going to fight for a little bit anyway with him walking back like that. Your two teammates just died up in the bottom lane. So I would have just made him waste his Shrunken Head charge.
We do see at the bottom lane, there was a port out actually, I believe by Warbeast right there. And Warbeast did have to use a Shrunken Head, by the way. That is currently still coming off a cooldown, but so he did use a charge on that, so keep that in mind. But Warbeast has another nearly 1,460 gold saved up. He's farming 353 gold per minute, so again, why Talaba is doing his part as far as having an impact here in this game, here for the Hellborn team, but you can only do so much when you have a Moon Queen on the opposition, farming 512 GPM by Nox here. And again, it may be going a little bit greedy, sure, with the Dancing Blade, and he is pretty vulnerable, doesn't have that Shrunken Head, not necessarily the most tanky. There is some good burst damage here on the Hellborn team, so it definitely is greedy here from Moon Queen. The Pebbles, the Bubbles, if they get that jump, they could definitely take out Moon Queen at the beginning of a fight. And without Moon Queen, obviously they lose a lot of potential here on the Legion side as far as winning a fights even, so
yeah, well,
got to be careful about that.
She has free reign to do this. Basically, she's going to go the more farming route and take it to the very, very late game with a pickup like that.
Okay.
Doesn't want to fight, and you know, if the Hellborn team, if TT Esports saw that, they need to control this game. They need to be the ones on the aggressive side, and they have the heroes to do so. Obviously, they have a good carry in Draconis, but when you see that, when you see an item pickup like that, that should scream like we need to be aggressive on her. She can't dispel our Song of the Sea if Bubbles jumps in. She can't dispel the kelp field or anything like that, so you need to be aggressive on her.
Oh, Nox level 18 now, and again continuing to farm. He has 26. Okay, there we go. The snake bracelet and the steam staff just purchased. So wing bow going to be finished here on Moonqueen. And it is pretty ridiculous, the items that he does have. We're not even half an hour into this game. We'll already have a wing bow, geometer's bane, whispering helmet, steam boots. Now Conqueror's been attempted, double damage rune on Warbeast, but it was just spotted by Pharaoh right there. And I believe that's going to be a retreat time for TteS Esports. As they do start falling back, you need to be very careful though, because Pharaoh, he is ready to jump in. Not going to really go in just yet, though. Doesn't necessarily have that great base, and he will use another Tormented Soul. But they do prevent them from doing the Conqueror, so that's what QsQ wanted. They'll be happy with that. Warbeast, especially with that double damage rune. I'm sure Congo was dropping fairly fast, but just not enough. Warbeast does have another 2100 gold saved up. Meanwhile, Draconis once again getting caught. Barb Armor and Shrunken. No, that's just a Barb Armor, excuse me. Pharaoh catches him. The root will barely catch Draconis right there. The Shrunken has already been activated. Moonqueen's chasing, but no, Draconis will barely stay alive. And here comes Pebbles. Look at Moonqueen dropping, but the Moon Finale's activated. Shrunken going up from Pebbles, though. He'll stay alive in the meantime. Moonqueen is completely from Bubbles goes in, but Moonqueen will barely survive. Warbeast does take out Nova right there, playing that Glacius, and now he's running into Fade, who's trying to counter. Feral and Keeper the Forest are going to try to assist right here. Burning Shadow stunning Warbeast right there. Bubble's going to use to take over the back row, but Moonqueen's already out of here. He's already back at base, so do not expect him to do any more here for the Legion team. And so TteS Esports still wants some more blood. They'll get more blood. Feral will fall right there, and I believe that's how it'll finish in the end.
God.
With him dying. Wow, that was close.
I feel so freaking bad for Riser, man. Like,
Yeah.
First of all, he completely saved Draconis with a Kelp Field to stop the initiation from the rest of the team onto him. Like, that was a perfect save from him. Saved his buddy, then goes in, finds the Moonqueen after the initiation from Pebbles, catches him with the Shell Surf, catches him with the Song of the Sea, and then somehow manages to get the last auto attack off onto him. I don't know how, because it must have been really difficult to click, but he got it. I was like, oh my god, he actually did it, and he lived with like 5 HP.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so close.
I'm sure the wing bow did play a role. I mean, he probably missed a couple of auto attacks here and there, so how close he got, it's probably was the saving grace in the end. But yeah, he was one auto attack away, as you put it, but doing everything that he could. Now in the end, we do see Moonqueen get sent into illusions. Actually, going to be cleaned up quickly. Fate is here. They want to ninja this Congo. If anything, Burning Shadow is going to be used on Warbeast. Warbeast game being completely locked down. The 4-second stun coming out on the Congo actually, but here comes Draconis. Cataclysmic Assault is activated. Knocked in a lot of trouble. The combo from Pebbles, and Nox will fall. That Pharaoh did jump in, but the barbed armor's up, and they're not even attacking him. Finally it goes off, but Pebbles falls in the meantime. Fate is dropping to Rise here on that Bubbles, but now Rise will have to start falling back as Pharaoh's chasing him. But look at Keeper the Forest is in some trouble as Draconis will take him out. The Moonbeam onto Aluna, so Moonqueen obviously buying back right here. Will finish off Aluna, and now they are going to take out Kongor. So Moonqueen does die in the end, but she buys back, and now she has a token of life. Just like that. Draconis played a little bit ballsy here, actually, as Moonqueen is going to throw out that Moonbeam. Warbeast did buy back as well, actually. And now Moonqueen's in a little bit of trouble. And the Moonfield Finale is going to be activated, though, doing a lot of damage to Warbeast. The minions absorbing a good amount, but Warbeast is in some trouble here. It looks like the ulti form and the runaway will be enough, however, for White Talaba. Damn, that was a crazy finish.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I've seen so many missed stuns, though, from Pebbles. Like, he jumped in, missed another combo, or missed another stun onto Moonqueen. Now, Moonqueen did die, but it could have been a lot faster, and they could have, you know, done some other things to save some of the heroes on their team and just played a little bit differently. So you got to hit those stuns, man. I mean, you have a portal key for a reason. It's to set up that exact combo, and when you're missing all those stuns, it really hinders your team. Sheepstick is going to be up on Fade very soon as she picks up the Acolyte staff. So that's a great pickup for her. A very different pickup, or different item build, I should say, on the Fade, but I can never complain when you get a Sheepstick this early, not to mention a push book before that. So on any hero, really.
Yeah, you know,
we saw yesterday pick up the Sheepstick onto Zephyr, which I mentioned beforehand was a great pickup for him, and it did wonders, and ultimately I think was one of the very, very key ingredients into winning that game. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, Style, he has kind of been just quiet this game, not in a bad sense. He just haven't really, it seems like Fade has had that typical Fade impact of roaming around himself, using the Infist, setting up ganks by himself, but he's no doubt been very useful in these team fights. I mean, he's overall 3-2-5. You mentioned the fact that he's going to have a Sheepstick and then already having the Tablet of Command on top of that. It seems like he's just going more of a support team fight build than anything, and obviously it is working out well here for Q Squad and for Style specifically. So they're going to try to set up something here on Bubbles here at the bottom lane. Bubbles knows they're coming though, as Warbeast using his Hellhounds to scout things out. So this is what you will start to see Warbeast do at this time in the game, especially using those Hellhounds, taking advantage of the invis that they have at level 4, and using them really for scouting purposes, if anything. But we do see a jump here actually on the Fade. Speaking of Fade, and that is going to be a quick kill. Both Bubbles and Pebbles comboing. Now Glacius in some trouble. He's going to go for the port out. Will it be successful? No stuns are happening. Yes, Nova will survive. Just barely living life on the edge. But at least he stays alive. Shrunken Head has been picked up on Pebbles, by the way, and a tablet on the Bubbles. But they did get the kill on a Fade just before. So they can be somewhat happy with that. Moon Queen running into Draconis here in the middle lane in the meantime. But Draconis quickly falling back. Realizing that's not a fight he wants to take, especially remember Moon Queen does have that token of life for another 4.5 minutes here just about.
Her farm is just so much better than that of Draconis'. Like, she's up 220 gold per minute on him.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
That's
like
absurd.
her damage is really, really high in these fights. There comes Pebbles actually just disintegrates Nova though. Here comes a counter initiation for Keeper. So much damage on the Enzo. He just drops so fast. Warbeast actually trying to go. He goes a very interesting route. He almost runs backwards. There's a hook actually from Pharaoh. It connects. Great job by Jonas and Fan. Yeah, interesting play. Waitalabi, he's like already had a fine run towards just like the top right and runs backwards up that hill. It's kind of an awkward way to run, but a great, response there coming up from QsQ.
Well, and at the same time, I just think that was a horrible choice by TD Esports. The jump-in choice, they committed quite a bit right there to just kill a Glacius like they did, and it was almost worked out as bait basically. Now, sure, Fade was also dead, so. I mean, they were 5 versus 3, but you're dealing with a Moon Queen that has insane farm, and she was able to just sit there in the background. Now, hold that thought for a second, though. Keep the force going to be jumped in by Pebbles. There's Bubbles following it up. The Mummies are up, causing a little bit of disorientation, but no, Keep the force will fall. But look at Moon Queen again, just right-clicking everything. Fade joins the party with that new sheep stick of hers, and Sheep's Pebbles sets up the kill into him, and now Moon Queen actually is just going to pound damage into the base. You do see a Luna puts a 5-second stun actually. No, that was on the illusion, however. So Moon Queen going to be more than fine. She'll easily take out this tower.
Goodbye base. Watch this.
Yeah, watch the glaive start doing their glaive thing. Look at the bounces happening. She is just wrecking face. Draconis runs in there. Avian takes some hits right there. Pharaoh will jump in once again. No Mummy Wall's going to be coming up, but it doesn't matter. They take out Warbase in the background. Fade jumping in as well and forcing TD Sports to fall back. This could be the GG moments coming out here shortly.
Look at the glaives. Actually, the GG is coming out from Waitalaba as the GG well played, and that'll be game 1 actually. Pretty action-packed, 14-17 though. They're actually trailing in hero kills, but still they say never mind. They want more game.
They want to hang in there just a little bit longer apparently, but I mean I can kind of see that. But Moon Queen is just absurd, man. Moon Queen is absurd with his farm. He now has a symbol of rage actually. Okay, there's another vote to concede, so clearly some frustration here on the side of TT Esports. When they go for a concede, they fake it, and then they concede right after again. So if this one doesn't pass, it is unfortunate to see that, because clearly there's some miscommunication there. Okay, they are going to concede in the end, and I'm sure not happy, but hey, it's a best-of-3 series. You know what? It sucks. Game 1's over. Let's move into Game 2 with a better attitude. That's what I would be saying, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, easier for me to say, of course. I want to play in the game, but anyways, Q Squad, again, I think we said it many times to Moon Queen just was allowed to just get so much farm, even despite a Pebbles and a Bubbles. Getting an earlier on portal key, the thought that they could play aggressive was there. They weren't really taking advantage of a lot of opportunities, it seemed like. And, well, he got a lot of farm, and it worked out.
Well, they did some good warding early on from QsQ, and like I mentioned, Nova, even though the bound die kept getting passed between team and team, like he died, it went to Leon Black Black died, it went to Jonas and Fan. But it did do some counter warding, and I think that has something to do with not being able to find the right openings for your team as far as trying to gank. They lacked a little bit of vision, is what I'm basically trying to say. And I think the biggest thing though that game was just Draconis just wasn't able to get any farm, and I don't know if it was whether he just wasn't farming the lanes effectively, or if most of the jungle was being hoarded by Warbeast. But at the same time, you had a similar situation with Molly in the jungle as Keeper of the Forest. Now they were doing a lot more grouping up and pushing. And I think that opened up, and Nox just kind of took over. But, yeah, Draconis just simply could not find his farm that game.
Yeah, it just didn't work out, obviously, for TT Esports in the end. So again, game 1 though is over. QsQ takes it. Let's move into game 2 and see what can happen. But we're going to take a short break as always here on HoNcast. So sit tight, guys. We do have our second game going to be coming up here. Will QsQ sweep the series and then take on State Green in the grand finals as a result of that? Or will TT Esports force the third game? And we'll have to see what happens then. But sit tight, guys. Game number 2, QsQ versus TT Esports, just around the corner. We'll be right back.